Hi, my name is Larry Duncan Allen. Thank you for tuning in to No More Water, Fire Next Time. I have with me today in the studio Mashatta Carradine, and she will be discussing many important issues. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. I have with me Mashatta Carradine. How you doing, Mashatta?
Fine, and you, Mr. Duncan? How are you?
Okay. And what tell the people the issues you want to discuss today?
Well, my passion is education, and I've been a devoted substitute since, 2005 maybe? And in that, I've seen so much that just grieves me, and I think we as a community need to come clean with how we are collectively failing our babies.
Yeah, I agree with that because, I know many children who were getting straight A's in school, even high school, when I used to have my children's program, baseball and all, and they couldn't do basic math, yet they were getting straight A's in school. But yet they couldn't do basic math. And I wonder, how you ask them, how you getting all these good grades and you can't even do little small math problem?
Okay, so I see this when the shift happened, when more Caucasians started coming into our inner cities. That's when the standards and expectations basically eroded. I tell people a lot. Our communities have basically always been impoverished. These issues that we are seemingly seeing now aren't new. What's new is the paradigm shift of educators. Those who do not have to have standards or expectations from our babies. Now you have those teachers that our children will overperform for because they know that they care. We are indeed a relational people. We relate. So when I know your home life, I know the community, you understand that I have your best interest. So therefore, they give the best. And then they have the rest of the teachers. They have no kind of relationship. And it shows because of what we're seeing today.
Yeah, I have to agree with that because I know there's some children, one class they could be getting A's, and the next class they're getting C's. That happened to me when I was in school.
Right.
Because I was out from the first to the third grade. I was they had group 1, 2, and 3 back then.
Right.
I was always in group 1, the overachieving group. I got this one teacher, she didn't look like you and me. I failed the 4th grade. But then after that when I repeat the 4th grade, they saw my test scores, so they put me back in my right grade.
Okay.
So that's why I can relate to you on that.
So were you a threat? You were seen as a threat?
I may have been.
Yeah. I see that as well. Especially our boys. In college I learned that they have all these different intelligences, and in certain zip codes you're given one way of learning. That's it. Well, they have all these research and all these things that's proven, but they don't execute it in our inner cities. So therefore, here we go with the school to prison pipeline. So they're basically attacking our kids for something, one, that America legislates, and then say, well, this works for a certain group of kids, which is crazy because our kids aren't even introduced to it. So
Right, they're not introduced to it because if you notice even some of the hustlers on the streets, they drop out of school. They're very intelligent.
Yeah.
And just think if they was running a corporation, what they could do, or running a business. But well, in a way they are running a business, illegal business.
Street pharmaceutical.
Yeah. But many of them are very intelligent. They're not dummies. It's just that they were failed in school. They couldn't relate to what was being put out to them.
Well, we have an antiquated school system. If everybody now, during this, let's take the pandemic for instance, everybody's talking about how cheating just skyrocketed. I mean, these kids have information a click away. Do you expect them to learn the way we did? No, it's not going to happen. They're not going backwards. They're going to go forward. So we have to demand that our school systems change because it is clearly outdated. So, yeah.
Well, like you said, in many areas they have changed.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't brought it to the inner cities.
Basically. And, you know, like I said, it's something when we have this tech is driving everything. Technology is driving everything. But yet and still, our kids don't know how to create. They don't know how to create software. They don't know the laws. When federal government passed laws on tech, our kids aren't privy to those things. So it's like it's intentionally set up that they do all these illegal things so they can be criminalized for
Yeah,
it.
because they can get on computers and phones and tablets and know how to operate them very well.
Yeah.
Because, they grew into it. And like me, I had to learn it. They
Right.
grew into it.
Mm-hmm.
But you take the average kid that's like 20 years old, smartphones been around, about 10 years or
Yeah.
12 years? That means at the time when they was young, they probably wasn't using cell phones, so smartphones is all they ever used.
That's all, right.
And I remember the flip phones. They didn't use it. They did. They don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But they know how to operate certain devices.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, developing the software. That's where the money's at.
And I guess standing back and looking at it, why would I teach you to be my competitor? Y'all the biggest consumers.
Yeah.
The poorest people, ain't enough for a kid to have a $2,000 and $3,000 phone. But your books are old. This and other.
Because what you said about the books is old.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid coming up, I didn't realize it at the time. When I was in the first, second, third group, I could remember those old looking cars that was in my book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All that old looking stuff. I was wondering, but since then, there's been new formulas and technologies invented since those old books. But I didn't realize at the time that they would give the white kids the new books and send their old books down to the black community.
Yeah.
And because I remember there was like they used to speak of the 90 different elements in the black schools, but since then there was maybe more now, but at that time when I researched, it was 120 elements. But see, if you had a black school and you list the entire 90 elements, you get an A+. But when you get to college, you're going to get an F.
Right.
Because that's 30 elements that you're leaving out.
And I call it education malpractice and curriculum discrimination.
Yeah, because it's on purpose.
It's on purpose. So, as moms and community stakeholders, I'm not understanding why we are allowing this to go on with our babies. Because we're allowing it.
Many just seem to have their priorities wrong. They don't really focus much on their children's education. They like to be there when they graduate, hooping and hollering, but didn't contribute much to it. Some do, but many of them just don't contribute much to it. Like talking to their kids, increasing their vocabulary. I was told that the white kid, when they enter the first grade, they have a vocabulary 3 times that of the black kid, and because their parents talk to them. We need to talk to our kids more instead of like at the store when they ask your parents a question, curse them out. Because and I see the white parents talking to their kids, and we need to take more time with our
But
kids.
I think
talk to them when they're young.
We need to see that. A lot of people who do that and understand that, 9 times 10, they up the hill. They're not around the corner.
Oh no! But I'm saying we need to try to get that more in the inner city
Right.
instead of just cursing at the kids and hollering at them. Because I see it a lot. I had one little boy and girl at a store. My cousin, I was helping him down on you remember Dunkin' Donuts down on It was the old Walgreens. Next to that, when I first come back from California, it was the old Walgreens down on Collinsville Avenue.
Okay.
That was this woman used to come in every morning. She had a little boy and a little girl, and I never knew their name. The little girl was always little B, and the little boy was always little MF. So I never knew their name, you know, because that's all she ever. And I've seen that a lot, you know. And with the fathers, you know, you can't complain about her if he's not going to contribute also, because it's both parents have to be involved.
Well, I think it's taught because, you know, sad to say, I was one of them parents, you know. But when I started putting myself around
But you learn.
Yeah, I learned, you know.
Some never learn. Some
But I've had more of this negativity longer than you coming in and telling me the positive.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable.
And it's by choice. It's all by choice too. You know?
A lot of times, you know, it's generational. It's generational, yo. My parents cursed me out, I cursed mine out. But you know, but the good thing about it, you stop the cycle.
Right.
Yeah, it's because you know we all haven't been where we at right now. Me, you, no one is. We haven't. It's a learning process. Life is a learning process.
I think we need to get real with this whole PTSD and the trauma.
Glad you brought that up.
Because as a teacher, I say a lot. My babies that come into my classroom have sides. Homicide, suicide, some kind of side in their life. It's so much happened, I have to associate it with a student. Look at our community. If it happened in East St. Louis, it's associated with one of them. So I treat my entire class like it's all of them. Because I don't know. They're not going to come in and say, you know, last night my brother was killed. Now they're going to come in and go on off. And it's called trauma. It's called grief. But we don't associate it with that because we ain't used to really dealing with it. We still got to go on with life. Suck it up. This 2021, we need to stop sucking stuff up. Yeah,
I was going to say, you know, we had to quit expecting, especially kids, sucking it up because, you know, it affects a lot in their lives. They haven't achieved yet.
Right.
They're still trying to achieve, and it's going to stop them from achieving, having to suck everything up. Because, you know, when I dealt with kids and, you know, I would take them to Cardinals baseball games, and I used to work with R.J. Krause, and those kids seem to have so many problems. It's like they were taught to try to just get by and get over, and not to learn. Because I would have items that I would be giving them for free, yet they would still try to steal them. And they didn't need them. They just wanted the idea of getting over. You couldn't turn your back for a minute, or they're gonna try something, you know. Then I have to talk to them. Look, you know, you don't have to do all that. You know, I'm giving you this. Why would you steal it? And you know, if you ask me for it, I give it to you. I had one that wanted to steal I had lost I said somebody, I was joking, I lost a Snicker bar in my car. I did lose it, but I was joking about it. That was about 4 months ago. I had a big van. One of them went to the van and said, I'm sleepy. And I found the Snicker wrap on the floor. I said, look, if you're going to steal something, throw the wrapper away. You know, but I said, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you know that if you told me you wanted a Snicker bar, I'd have gave you the money, and you could have went and bought it. But you want to steal this 3-month-old Snicker bar. It's summertime, you know, it done heat up and cool down, and all white looking. So why would you do that? It was just the idea of being sneaky. Some of them just like being sneaky because they're taught that. At home, they're taught to be sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we need to address the issues in place that's legislated that's causing all of this. You know, and we know right from wrong, and, you know, we get all of that.
You're right, because what I was saying, like the right from wrong, but that's not legislated. And you touching on the legislative part, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, come on, if I gotta teach my child to, let's say, lie, so I can get extra help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not right. But if there's extra help, dang, what else you gonna put on top of
survival.
us? Right, it's survival.
See, many in the black community are in survival mode. You look, there's a few who go commit some unnecessary crimes, but most of the normal black people who are not criminals, just criminals. Some people commit crimes because of their situation. Some commit it because it's just in them to do it.
Right.
But most crimes many black people commit are survival crimes.
Yeah.
I even had a cop tell me, he said, those policemen tell me, he said, man, I hate to arrest these people. So I know they just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Said, but I just can't let them just keep breaking the law.
Okay, so when you're poor, they can't let you just keep breaking the law. But when you're rich and you do it, they just white collar crime.
Yeah, just white collar
now.
crime. See,
that stuff has to end.
Because this white guy, he told me, say, he noticed that when he go over the speed limit, a cop may, he had many times where a cop said, hey buddy, slow it down.
Right.
When it's a black guy, he pulled him over, want to search his car.
Yep.
But see, and like
Put
you said,
some in it.
like the corporations get welfare money, but it's only called welfare in a socialism when the poor folks get it.
Right.
Yeah, but see because like you said, when you're rich, you get away with a lot. When you're poor, you don't, because they're afraid that the rich gonna have lawyers, and most of the rich are white. And so, not saying you don't have to be rich, you just have to be white.
I just think when it comes to that, that's just an easier way to once again get that whole free labor going on.
Yeah.
Because that's the criminal justice system, the whole school to prison pipeline. When you're starting at kindergarten, the fact that our kids are walking through metal detectors, that to me is traumatic. Like, why am I walking through and then being searched?
Yeah, and they had metal detectors at schools in East St. Louis when the other people was talking about they don't want them. Long before all those school shootings, they've had metal detectors in East St. Louis because I don't know about 20, 30 years.
And we haven't had mass
Not one
murder.
incident.
Right. So, and
You're going to have fights in schools sometimes.
I question that because of the simple fact that when the bell rings, you send them back in a crime-ridden community. So if you were really concerned. So to me, those metal detectors are for those white teachers to feel safe in the hood.
Yeah, because
you're sending them back out in a crime-ridden community.
And not improving that.
Right. So it can't be the kids you're caring about. It's the protection of the mental protection of these white folks.
I don't think it was ever the kids that they care about.
At all.
And I tell you what, they, most of the kids, they just want them to get that state money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about just East St. Louis, but in most black districts.
Yeah.
They wanted for the money. I lived in Los Angeles. They was doing the same thing.
Did you
there.
see the statistics of the reading scores and the
I saw it.
Okay, so now the government gave you extra money so you can extend the school year for what? I mean, I'm looking at 1% due. So clearly it's the money.
Yeah, it's the money.
It's the money.
Because that's why when the kid act up, they build these alternative schools. They don't want to put them out.
Exactly.
So they can keep getting the money. Yeah, and a lot of times they fight the teacher. Then 10 days later, you're right back up in that same teacher's room.
Mm-hmm.
A kid want to fight me, they're not coming back in my class.
Right.
But they're sending them. They'd rather get rid of the teacher than the kid because they want to keep that money. They can always get another teacher.
Right, that's the money.
To take their place.
Right.
There's substitutes waiting to take that teacher's place.
Mm-hmm. And as a sub, I mean, it's just rotating. Our kids are seeing rotating subs. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't hesitate with pulling our girls out. When they've had enough, because yet their mom is subbing, when they've had enough, I say, come home. And I go to ROE, pull them out. They're going to be homeschooled for the rest of the year. Before I let them burn out and hate learning, I will remove them from that environment. Because you can't force me to send my girls to be failed like that. And it's just sad.
And also, they have to be able to ensure your child's safety. If your child gonna be bullied, I see where some kids commit suicide from being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
But see, shouldn't the school also be responsible for that? You can't ensure their safety. I take mine out too.
I wrote a piece called how basically our school breed these angry kids. I've been subbing long enough, and I'm very personable with my students. I've seen them come in ready, excited, to these angry, vicious little girls and boys. And it's like, when it's going on, nothing's done. You know, so of course they're going to bring it into the community. And it's like, school should be a safe haven. You know, but when you get up and not knowing who you're going to see today or if somebody's going to be there, that's a lot on these babies. As well as the black teachers who are there and have to do double duty. You know, because so it's some dynamic black teachers there. But it's
Yeah,
like,
I had to prove myself.
it's tiring though. You know, it's tiring. And the demands that you have on them, it's just too much. I say, if you don't want to teach our kids, get out.
I noticed that in many of the schools, we don't have as many male teachers. I don't know because the men just don't go into teaching anymore. I know when I was coming up, we had some male teachers.
Mm-hmm.
We had shop teachers, and I remember my math teacher, I think his name was Mr. Wallace, but you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, I think because of not only the paradigm shift for teachers change, but when you are a male, especially a black male, and that child tell you something out the way, and they treat you like you 5, that might be a little much for some men. You know,
Yeah.
we're used to being respected, especially our seniors, elders in our culture. Well, now that you got people unlocking the door, telling our kids that they can express themselves and do this, that, and the other, now they're doing it to our seniors. You know, and for black men, they probably not going to take that too kindly. I got to deal with America and you, little boy that don't know nothing, or little girl that don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So I bring that aspect into the classroom, into my room. You know, I tell them the truth. I understand you feel like you're free, but in the real world, they setting you up.
Yeah. Because I'm going to take a quick break, and what you just said, I want to come back on
Okay.
about feeling like you're free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. I have with me Mashatta Carradine. We're going to just finish our discussion we were having. We were speaking on education. What were we mentioning about the being free? You think you're free, but you're not free?
Yes, this generation is basically, I call it the unfamiliar generation. The way they speak is unfamiliar. The way they come to school is unfamiliar. And the way they act. And all in this freedom of expressing themselves and speaking, however, it does not work when they're out in the real world. But it seems like in the home or at school, especially when it's dealing with us, they have every right to speak and act in the most unfamiliar way our culture has ever seen.
Yeah.
Now, yes, there are some adults that kind of need checking, but just because you feel entitled or they say you free, you might want to listen to some seniors that got your best interests at heart.
Because I know when we were in school, they corrected our grammar.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't come to school and talk like these kids talk now.
Right.
They corrected our grammar, but a lot of times the teachers start talking right along with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the same type of grammar, because they corrected, one thing they corrected on me, which I don't think was very good now. I'm left-handed. I eat left-handed, I throw left-handed, but I write right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't allow me to write right-handed, left-handed in school. They made you write with your right hand.
Uh-huh.
So I do everything left-handed except for right.
Oh, wow.
But that was unnecessary. But they but I know they corrected our grammar. We couldn't come in there and talk any kind of way.
And like you're saying, the whole correction, I think once again it goes with the paradigm shift of educators. White teachers, they want no conflict with black children or black families. So that's the whole, well, we're going to pass. I guess because we're such a visual people, you know, we love to look nice. So you got straight A's, whew, they're good.
Yeah.
Without knowing basics or whatever. So our teachers didn't care when you came in their classroom, they expected excellency from their students, and we performed. Okay, so now this whole come and do what you want, and we can't go from President Obama to Trump. We just can't. But all we got to do is look at education. 80% of teachers in America are white people, basically white women, and it shows.
Yeah, it shows.
It shows. So, once again,
They don't know how to deal with these black kids.
At all.
And the boys or the girls.
At all. But yet and still, as a sub, I can stand outside the classroom and know which teacher is a black teacher.
By the way the classroom sounds.
They standing at her door. They trying to run around and get a pencil, all their utensils, because this teacher don't play. This teacher expect me to be prepared. Come on, Miss Carradine, I need a pencil because I'm going to such class. Oh, but then you was going to class before today. I ain't give you nothing. But that lets you know that even our kids know. They know how to get in line. So just imagine if every educator was like that one teacher that they're performing for, like we used to have. So we have to just get honest, because it's only so many times we can see videos of them dragging our kids, yanking them out of seats and all this other stuff. We see the racism, we see all of these things, and yet collectively we're allowing it. So somebody got to get behind our future.
Waco was the largest society. We check each other quick.
Yep.
But we're very slow about checking other people.
Yep.
Just like a lot of the shootings, if you did if I did, they come get me.
Right.
One of them do it, they want to march and carry signs. And then deal with them like you deal with me.
But when it comes to that, I guess I look at it as that is the root. You're going straight to the source. Because although I get what you're saying, when you think of how did that stuff get into the inner city? Because, it just...
You talking about the education?
No, I'm talking about the guns and all that other stuff.
Well, it's always been happening. You should see it more now. It's probably better now than it used to be, because they did it with impunity years ago. You just didn't hear about it. People just like when it happened to Rodney King, people were saying, see, we've been telling you, but that was mild compared to what they normally do with Rodney King. That's been going on a long time. They usually would kill you and leave you laying there and everybody come out and spit on you. And there wasn't black people around. It was mostly used there with a bunch of white people.
Right.
But back to education, because that is a very important subject. I've noticed that in many of the classes, I've noticed. Let me back that up. I've noticed that people are talking about the way the children dress. They talk about the boys sagging, but I have to say some positive things about the teenagers. They don't really sag that much. It's these guys 30 and 40 years old doing most of the sag.
Right.
They came up during that period. These guys are now wearing skinny jeans. And they I don't like the way their prom suits look, but with them little Cinderella slippers and all that on. But I noticed that most black youth don't use drugs. If they do, they don't smoke cigarettes. They may smoke some weed. But I can't remember the last time I seen a teenager smoking cigarettes. When I was coming up, that's all they did.
Right.
But I can't remember I can't even remember seeing it's been decades since I seen a teenager smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, they'll smoke weed, and I don't see them doing that. I just hear they smoke it. It be the adults out here in public smoking weed. You ride by the car and you
oh my God,
weed.
right.
Yeah.
All the
you don't smell that coming from kids. I don't smell teenagers. I don't smell the scent on them. So we have some positive things going on with our kids.
Yeah.
We've told our kids don't use drugs so much and it work. Now we gotta tell their parents.
Right. Right. Backwards.
Yeah, so it's worked on our kids. So a lot of our kids I see are not as bad as people think they are.
Oh, no.
They just have some issues they're dealing with.
No.
You know, they have so many issues. So like when I was coming up, we always had issues to deal with because we're living in a society where the rules, we're expected to abide by the same rules, but the rules don't work for us. But we got to abide by the same rules that the people it work for. But then when we violate those rules, we get a stiffer punishment.
Right, difference. And that goes with the whole disciplining inside the schools.
Yeah.
Black students, male and female, are treated harsh inside of these schools, you know? And it's taken me this long to understand as an empath, one who just feels deeply about the issues these babies bring, that now that I'm on the other side of the desk, people really don't care. Don't care about these babies. Because if they did, they would enact services to help. It should be wellness before worksheets. Okay? This baby is not thinking about what I'm teaching when I'm worrying about, is today going to be my Nana's last day she take her breath because they rushed to the hospital last night. You know, or whatever the case might be. They have grown people issues, and they should be able to allow to deal with it. But once again, we're expected to just keep on going.
I just think they have issues at home, and they come to school and the teacher mistreating them.
Right.
They have issues at school, and
It's just
that's
compounding.
too much for a kid to take in, you know.
Right.
Then some of them come to school not on their head. The white kid go to school, they trying to find out what happened to him. Black school kid, well, I see you kept messing with people, folks, huh? They took care of you, huh? But the white kid, they deal with it because as an educator, by law, they're supposed to report that. When I was taking the kids around to the field trips and all that, and if any of them, you know, they had a black eye or something, I made them stay. I said, look, if they go with me, I'm going to have to report that.
And see, I get it, but I really don't like the whole mandated reporting thing, because not to say that I want any child hurt or harmed, but how you mandating a teacher to come after the parent, but you don't say nothing about the issues that's causing all of this. Now, granted,
well, you know what? They don't care.
they have choices.
You know, the law don't care. Like I said, you got choices. Like I used to tell them, you know, you have to stay home because if you come, I got to report that.
Right.
I had one come with me. He smelled like weed, and I'm tell you, you know what? I told him I could smell it because I don't smoke weed. Never even tried it. But when he got in the car, you know, I could smell it. And like cigarettes and weed, I can smell that out quick.
Yes, sir.
And I told him, no, you can't come with us smelling like that. But I found out later what it was. He didn't smoke weed. His mother smoked it. She drove him to meet us.
Yes.
And it was on him. But still, I couldn't let him come with the rest of the kids smelling like that.
Right.
Even though it was his mother.
But see, now, kids, my 4th grade class, they come to school like that. And I don't smoke. So I'm like, if you don't get back on that side of the room. I mean, because what do you do now? It's legal.
And then a kid like that, you just can't send them home.
Right.
And you know it's not them smoking it.
Well, we hope. I ain't no telling this generation.
But more than likely, you know.
Yeah.
It more than likely, it's the parents. They in the home where people smoking weed. Because I was with some people one time, and I had to stop at their house. I was going to record a church. It smelled like weed already. I said, I can't come up in here. I come up in I'm going to that church smelling like weed. And they're going to think that's me smoking.
But as far as like, let's say the curriculum goes, I think about our babies. I used to always tell our kids, if you live in East St. Louis, you have mastered every employability skills they can come up with.
Yeah.
Just because of the simple fact America legislates you nothing. You have to master everything you need to just survive. Now let's switch how we look at it and learn the corporate words. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just saw gifts and talents in my classrooms, you know, and these kids are just naturally gifted because they don't have anything. Some of them, that's their outlet, you know, but if I had my way, none of them will be in school because they will be executing what just comes naturally to them. And that's like against the
that's
system.
why many of them drop out. You know, they
Right.
just see that they're doing things already, but they just don't have the educational skills to go with it. Because many of them are very brilliant. You know.
But it's amazing how in this zip code they push education. But then again, you hear, well, you don't need to have a degree to start a business. Well, you got all kind of entrepreneurships on the inside of y'all because you poor.
Yeah.
And you done made it to high school. I know you got some gifts and talents, so it's just a matter of pulling it out of our kids without hurting those who need a check. Like I do. But when I see our kids, I can't keep being silent. Well, I've never been silent. Let me quit. I've always spoken out on the injustices of our babies, And it's like we don't even value them, and it's just a little much for me.
Yeah, I don't think that a lot of it is not valuing them because the way I hear a lot of the parents talk to those children, I see a lot of there was a little boy one time. I remember him. He was walking with a man, may have been his father, and I was driving, and the man just had the little boy walking behind. The boy couldn't have been no more than 3 years old, and he wouldn't even look to see if the boy where the boy was at. Car was coming, so I just stopped, and the little boy positioned himself where he would come in on an angle. He was just that smart on an angle, but I stopped. But he knew not to come in there across that street, coming up, and the man never looked back. And I know when I had kids with me, they had to walk right up ahead of me on the side, and I had to see them every minute. Little kids, I just couldn't walk with them, but behind me. But that little boy was really smart. He knew how to position himself at an angle to cross that street. But even though I had stopped because I saw what was going on.
Right. Well, I mean, even in that scenario, you got to look at, although in your eyes, the adult didn't do what you thought he should do, but yet instead that adult equipped that baby.
I doubt if he equipped him, guys.
Oh, please.
If somebody equipped him, I doubt it was him. Yeah, that's stupid. I thought it was him. Somebody equipped him. But then, like you said, it could be, the baby may have equipped himself. Because sometimes, many of these kids learn on their own. Because I've seen many brilliant, really good kids come from poor parents. Seen some bad ones come from some good ones, and some good ones come from some bad ones. Because I find out many times, like the bad children that come from good parents, by them being good parents, they let them go where they want to go. Sometimes they go and hang out with other kids and be at their house who has good parents. And their parents are more of an influence on them than their own parents are.
Right.
And a lot of times, and vice versa, sometimes the good parents let their kids go do things and, they pick up bad habits.
Well, I mean, I think it's learning all around what parenting is. I look at me, I put so much into the profession of education and the love of these kids. It's like I don't have 3 of my own. I had no idea that I was supposed to, quote, look after my own first, whatever that means. I guess not come back to the inner city because everybody else knew what was going on but me. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea about the politics and the system. So, of course, after I got all my higher education, I'm going to come back to my community. Who would? But now that I look at our 3 children, now I see why others went elsewhere for their own, which is a vicious system to me, cycle. So, I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, it is a cycle. It's going on so long, but there's some who try to help to break the cycle, but just not enough, or just, like you said, most of the teachers are not even black.
Right.
And I know that at the east side there's a lot of teachers that's not black, and I haven't been in any classrooms in the east side in a long time, so I don't really know what's going on. But I noticed at the graduation that they had some children who got a lot of money in scholarships and with many people, education is important because I have some children I know that very close to me, not very good in common sense, but brilliant in books. You know, so they will need that education. If just to make money in life.
Right.
You know, and I mean, can quote you the entire encyclopedia book, can barely boil an egg.
Yeah.
And there's someone very close. I'm not gonna say who, because I gotta get a bad upside my head. But you know that some people need that education because they're not very astute, you know, in common sense.
Well, I see how they pour into athleticism, especially in District 189. They pour into athleticism, whereas I was explaining to our oldest girl, I said, when we were in school, I didn't care how good you was. You're a student first.
Yeah.
And it might break your heart, but you're not running track for Coach Nino Fenoy or playing basketball for Benny Lewis and you failing Doris Massenberg class. You know, so those were teachers invested in our future, where we were heading. So, like now, I guess the teachers they have now look at our kids as competition. So they done thwarted that.
Yeah.
You know.
Now there was a couple of athletes that I knew who one went straight from high school to the NBA, but he had to because he had a learning disability. You know, he wouldn't have made it in college.
I know what you're talking about.
He would have went to, I'm not gonna cut it, but he would have went to college and probably got injured and wouldn't have went nowhere. So he had to go. And there was a football player also, one of the best ever come through, and he was the same way. So it was best they go straight because that was about the only way they were gonna get there. You know, no college little names.
I have a general idea, but even at that, you know, I tell our athletes now, I say sit back and think of everything you need to be a top athlete. Now all you gotta do is switch it and put it in the classroom.
Yeah.
Punctuality, you have all your utensils. You have everything you need. So when you look at it, I challenge them to question why the academic piece is missing. Because you got athleticism down pat.
Because many times they don't. I'll tell you why. There was a coach, a basketball coach. I used to ride on the bus with him, go record games. You know, it was going other places, and the boys had to come on the bus with the shirt and tie on. Many of them know they got to come. Oh, I forgot my tie, all of those type of stuff. Then when the top players, he was failing the class, where he made them sit out. They got rid of the coach instead of letting the players sit out. So he was teaching them, you know, some values, but you know, they just wanted some. They just wanted action on the court, you know, results on the court, and so they got rid of the coach. But he wanted them to get their academics together first,
Right.
teaching them some responsibility, some morals, responsibility, and how to conduct themselves as young men. He wanted them to work when they come into the gym at another school, in a away school. They coming out with their shirts and tie on, because I see other teams doing that.
Right.
But every time some of them had an excuse, usually the same one. I forgot my tie, and after a while he just left it alone. Because sometimes you can just get tired.
But see, here they're teaching our kids about, you know, freedom of expression. You don't have to look a certain way. I just told my
So they're teaching that now.
All you gotta do is look around.
Look. You know, I hadn't been in the schools in a while. You know.
Okay, so
I didn't know about it.
For instance, in my school, the 5th graders, teacher told them, just come in and wear anything, okay? In our culture, we have never just presented ourselves any kind of way. This is graduation for 5th graders. They came to their graduation looking like it was Monday morning. In our culture, you can come in looking like anything. Your kid could have their hair streaked with different colors, tatted up, piercings, and still get in the door. That don't work for us.
And you know, you mentioned that. I noticed at the graduation,
Mm-hmm.
some of the boys walking around with their robe open. Went up to get their diploma with their robe open.
Right.
Now, you know that was unheard of. They didn't even have a processional. You know what they did? You know how they run to the end of the football field, but they would come back and have a processional?
Mm-hmm.
They came back, and they wasn't even dismissed, and all of them just walked off.
You see in the schools,
Now,
you know?
now, I understand what you're talking about now, because there was no structure,
Mm-hmm.
really, to that graduation. And I've never seen anything like that before. Well, in no way we could have done that. Walk around with our robe up, go up there, get our diploma,
Right.
shake their hands with our robe wide open.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I say it looks unfamiliar. It sounds good and even feel good to the soul. But at the end of the day, we have to come to grips with Black America have never had the same freedoms, and we had to parent differently. We had to teach differently. That's why we got the results we did. Now, look at the results we're getting. And I attribute that to, once again, the paradigm shift. And for black faces with white eyes and white beliefs and white ears and all of that, those teachers, they can go to.
You know, yeah, see, like you were saying about we had to parent differently.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a society that really wasn't meant for us.
Right.
It was meant for us to not really have to not benefit anything except just be slaves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was meant for us to be, and it's not really. That's why every time we make achievements, they change the rules.
Yep. Every time.
I mean, we get a black president in. What did they say? You know, we need to change how we pick the president.
Right.
Then black people are now becoming a force as far as a political force, as far as voting.
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to change the rules.
Right. Every time. So, I mean.
And you know, we've had a lot of PhDs and people with master's degrees come out of District 189.
Mm-hmm.
But and many of the teachers have them. But it's not showing as far as the education is concerned.
I think some of us, I mean, I take me for instance, you know, I have a master's in education, but it's so weighty. You up against a system that really wasn't meant for us.
Yeah.
And then you expecting me to do double duty.
And then sometimes when the teachers or even the school district does things a bit different
Mm-hmm.
than what they're used to, they get penalized for it.
Yep.
Because I remember once, this was in education, but I remember it was at a city hall. There was a worker there who gave out contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And it said she wasn't allowing people to bid on the contracts, but you had to bid on contracts that was $10,000 or more. So what she would do, so the black contractors could get work, she cut them up into $5,000 contracts and keep them below $10,000, so the black contractors could get some work.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was fired for that. You know, they came down on her so hard from the state, so
Right.
they had to let her go. But you know, sometimes we have to do things a bit different,
Mm-hmm.
or we'll just be giving everything back to them.
Exactly. Exactly.
And if we, you know, and many times they those over us has to go along with it because they come down on them. So you know, even though they agree with what they did,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I just have to put up a fight. You know, we have to do it. Sometimes we don't. Our negotiators not very good,
Mm-hmm.
which I heard someone say on my first show. We don't have good negotiators. When they come like that, just be honest with them. Look, we have to split these up so some of our people can get some work.
Right.
Just tell them like it is.
We won't,
Don't
though.
play. Don't play with it.
I have the shirt I'm wearing and so many others. I made a point every day to wear shirts. I can't teach it, but I can wear it on my shirt.
Mhm.
I had teachers to address me about my political attire, and I just let them know, I'm sorry you feel like my life is a political attire, but the fact that you're working here is political. Teaching is political. From the moment I get up, go to bed, it's politics. So you aren't telling me nothing new. But what you will not do is come into this poor black school district with how you feel on the shirt.
Yeah, they don't have to like it. Just leave it alone.
Right, you should feel like I feel.
But the thing is, I remember when I was going to school, white teachers would come to school with the Confederate flag
Right.
on the shirt. No one said anything. I remember when they used to drive all around these St. Louis, those truck drivers with Confederate flags. We didn't bother them.
Right. Right. So
I think many black folks didn't even know what it was.
I think in this day and time, it's really throwing them off because for so long we have just chucked it up to that's them, that's their rights. This is what they do. So now, as they say, the council culture. No, it ain't counseling nothing. We're not allowing you to treat us that way, and they don't know how to accept it.
Well, there's a shift going on. They're losing absolute control on power.
Right.
And I noticed that they don't know how to act when they're not in control. They can go crazy. They'll tear up the Capitol and ready to kill people, burn down Washington D.C. like they did back in the 1800s. When they feel like they're losing control, they go crazy.
Well, I was a keynote speaker for the Women's March the first 2 years. And we had like certain times or certain protesters that asked to come and speak to affluent white people so we can teach them. And so I asked a group I was with about what is your fear? And two said something that I'll never forget. One of the men said he cannot see, well, this was during the time President Obama was in office. He said he cannot see him as his president. It's like taking his manhood away. And a lady remarked, they was like in their maybe late to mid 60s or so. She said her biggest fear is everything they've done to black people would be done to them. So I said those are legitimate.
She's admitting they've done a lot of time.
Exactly. So therefore, that right there tells me you don't need education. You don't need training. You know exactly what's going on. That's why I don't coddle that talk anymore about training and educating them on what's happening.
They know what's going on.
They know it benefits them.
Yeah.
They caused it. They wrote it up. All that. It benefits them. But I left them with this. If that was in our nature, there should be no white people. Yeah. We should have been killed you all off. But since it's not, I think you need to redo that.
This is my nature. She's not there.
I'm getting there.
Can't do it by yourself, though.
Right,
you know?
I'm getting there. I mean, because to get up every day inside the school system and knowing that they're failing our black babies, knowing what's going on inside the community is a direct result of school. It's traumatizing.
Like you said, they're getting them ready for prison more than for the workforce. Because I've worked with white guys, and I sit and listen to them talking. They weren't lying. The stuff they say, the things and crimes they say they've done, I wonder, why come this MF not in prison?
Yeah.
So this man needs to be in prison.
Well, I feel like that about 45. He got 500,000.
That man should have been in jail a long time ago.
But
he's still doing stuff. And they still let him get away with it.
Because he is the root of this country. He is literally this country.
You see everybody around him going to jail. So that should tell him something right there.
Right. But his time coming.
I hope so.
It's coming. So. Trust. It's coming.
I got a little disheartened because I've been hearing it so much. Oh, they're going to get him. They're going to get him. Then he always gets away.
Well, you notice, like you said, everybody around him. That black woman in New York who I've been emailing, she ain't no joke.
Oh yeah,
James, Alicia
James.
She said, I ain't coming to play and I ain't scared of you either. This is my job, and I'm gonna do my job.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, she may get him. I'll be a black.
Yeah.
One thing about, I have to say this, when black people come into a job, we're qualified. We're well qualified because they're not going to put you there unless you are.
Right.
And white people giving jobs out of favors and somebody in their family and many of them are not even qualified for it. Just listen, they're not qualified. I was getting ready to hit it myself. But they're not even qualified for the job because just listen to some of those federal legislators in Congress and the Senate. How crazy they talk.
If the last 4 years have not shown us exactly what they do and how they get each other the hookups that don't deserve it, we're here because of that.
They're now talking things they used to talk at a bar over a beer. They're now saying it out in public as a part of policy now.
That's why I really appreciate and I tell anybody, that's why I appreciated 45. Cause he ain't like the clown we got now. The clown we got now, he is a little sneaky under the table. 45, we didn't have to question how he felt.
Now, you know what? I had mentioned, I had posted this morning about that thing he did with the age and that hate crime bill. That's nothing but a joke. Because that's already covered under the Civil Rights Bill.
Exactly.
He's just doing it to get them out the way. And they think they really got something.
But the thing is, just how quick and we...
They didn't have to march and pray and carry signs and all that. We had to do all of that.
And
but everyone's benefiting from us. That's the one reason I say I don't care much for black women getting into feminism because we got to get into black issues. Because those same white women who they be in those feminist march with turn around and discriminate against them and help their husbands. Because black women helped white women to gain their right to vote. And the black women got nothing out of it. And the white women went right back to discriminating against the black women.
And I learned that that's why I kind of cussed them out year 3 of the Women March. I wish I would speak to you all again. Because I did not understand, or even for that matter, know the history of black women always doing the work and white women reaping. So you want me to keep speaking for a women's march and you going to keep these policies in place that hurt my family, my community? I wish I would.
Because that's why I have told many black women, we need to quit separating now. When it comes to black people's issues, we need to stop separating ourselves by gender.
Right.
When it comes to black people.
That's right.
Now when it comes to things like a woman issue that's with the black woman issue, well, black men usually help out on that because if you notice, they say about the men controlling the women's body, but most of the black congressmen vote in favor of the women. You just hear the truth. It's the white men trying to control women's body.
Right.
Because most black, when I go past the abortion clinic over there on Forest Park, I always see white women out there.
Always.
Yeah, a few times I've seen a couple old white men, but I don't see any young ones. But I mostly see women out there. Most black men are not against abortion because a lot of times, you just can't take care of those kids. And,
right.
But most black people are not. That's why, and when it comes to during the political season, see, abortion is a big issue with white people, but it's not with black people. We got too many other stuff on our table. We actually believe in letting people decide for themselves.
Exactly.
We actually believe that. Now, unless it's a baby the man wants, he may cry about it. That's a personal thing. We're talking about as a policy, as an issue. But personally, I don't want to kill my baby. You may say that, but when it comes to as a political tool, black people believe in letting people have their choice. Yeah. And so that's why many times their issues and our issues are so far apart from each other. Like they be talking about the right and the left. Man, black people don't care about no right and left.
Okay.
We care about what's right and wrong for us.
That's it. That's it.
Because some of those that's supposed to be on the right, they just discriminate just as much. I mean, on the left.
On the left, right.
Yeah, they discriminate. Some of those on the left discriminate just as much. And that's why, like you said, like with the schools, many times our issues and the way we have to do things is completely different than the way that other people do it. Because when I say others, I don't believe in that people of color stuff.
Right.
Because I'm talking black people.
Black.
See, people of color wouldn't segregate it. Like the Hispanics.
Right.
I mean, when Emmett Till was killed, you had Lucy and Ricky Ricardo and women talking about their Latin lovers. While a black man get killed for being with a white woman. But and people of color is not haven't been through what we've been through. And one thing I didn't like that Joe Biden said, I voted for Biden. I don't agree with it. It was better than moved.
Yeah, I did too.
It was in there. But that don't mean I agree with everything. But I didn't agree with everything with Obama.
Right.
Because one thing Biden said, and I mentioned this on the last show, he said that if they're going to be reparation, it has to include the Indians. When he was a candidate, I said, slavery, women ain't slaves.
Right.
They was attacked. They was at war with the white folks for the land, and they lost. And let them get them that old raggedy barren land you can't grow nothing on. They didn't have nothing to do with us.
Right.
So, and the Japanese, they got reparations. Now they're gonna do a story on Black Wall Street. It's gonna come on CNN.
Yeah.
And I have to see that.
When? Today? Is it today? Or?
I think it is today.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think around 8 or 9. Around 8, I think. I'm gonna say 8, so if it's 9, at least you'll know.
Okay.
But there was a lot of Black Wall Street that haven't been mentioned. Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington was at one time over 80% black. I know we was on education when we jumped off.
This is education.
Oh, you're right. It was Wilmington, Delaware was one time over 80% black. The black people controlled the politics, the economy. The white folks came in, and they had law enforcement that helped them. Don't think it was about itself.
Exactly.
And they ran the black folks out of Wilmington, Delaware. And it happened all over this country. There were black towns. We even during slavery. Out west, when they started going west, black folks set up towns out there, even when slavery was going on. Did the same thing, burnt them out.
I just learned that Clayton, Missouri, out in Clayton, was a predominantly all black community.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So there is a meme that's floating around called "Pick a Massacre," Black Massacre. Pick a massacre and research it. And I'll share it with you later. But
yeah, because I like to know
with
about
it has like a map of the U.S. and the year the massacre occurred. And yes, they got East St. Louis on there. They got Chicago.
Oh yeah, I saw that map.
Okay.
But they stopped and didn't go west though on that map. They stopped. They didn't go all the way west. Because out in California, there were black towns out there that they burnt to the ground. That was successful. And East St. Louis, that was economic too. It's something to do with jobs. And see, a lot of times during those massacres, they come in the night when the black folks sleep.
Right.
But they had guns, and the black folks mostly had knives and clubs. So they would bring that to a gunfight. Now, in the 1917 massacre, they call it race riot. How's a race riot when you just coming to kill somebody and they not bothering you?
Right.
It was a white riot, that's what it was. And Nash Funeral Home brought a few guns over. They put in their hearse in a casket. Brought some guns over from St. Louis.
Nash?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was Nash Funeral Home. It had to be their grandfather or great grandfather, whichever. They put some guns in a casket. They went over to St. Louis, got a casket, put guns in it, and drove it back. And that's how some of the black folks got guns, because of Nash Funeral Home. And then there were black people trying to come across from St. Louis, but they stopped them from coming, because they were coming over with guns.
The black people?
Yeah, from St. Louis.
Wow.
So, that's why I said now we have to be ready. And I know I might get in trouble for this, but you got to be ready, because you don't know what's going to happen. Because I'll tell you why. Many of these people, like the Proud Boys and all these groups, you saw the body armor they wore, they're dressing like the policemen now.
Yeah.
And see, if they start, so far they just been killing other white people. If they start killing black people going to get ready. Some of them policemen may end up getting shot. Because they're dressed just like them. But they want to dress that. So, but I know we went on a while, but you have anything? Well, you want to say something about the clubs, didn't you? Those are high-profile clubs.
Yes. As far as I tell our daughters, they're part of St. Clair County Volleyball Club, and the clubs are extremely expensive. You know what I'm saying? So I tell our girls, when we were in school, we had coaches from colleges to come out and scout. They would watch us on school property, you know what I'm saying, to find out which athletes. Now, they no longer do that, really. They first ask you, what club were you a part of? So that's the end thing now, these clubs. So I tell our daughters, in the days of old, they had the whites only sign. But now they have clubs. And it's the dollar sign and the mileage sign. Because if we can't fly you out to all these different tournaments, if we can't come up with $4,000, on top of lodging fees, food, leisure, and all of that extra, and we have two girls that dominate on the volleyball court, then you're locked out. And that was a nice way of putting up the whites only sign without it being visible.
Now, see, it's sort of gender discrimination in schools, really, because in the boys' sports, they have scouts to come out to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Football, basketball, they have track. The scouts do come out to the school, but they come. I don't think they do it with the girls' sports, and
Right.
and you know because I filmed some volleyball games at Cahokia, and those girls play tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that even when it comes to girls basketball, I don't get as many people to watch as I do with the boys. And those girls play tough.
Yeah.
So maybe someone needs to watching this, would know where you could get a hold of someone who could probably help with the girls sports, because we raise money for the boys. We fly whole football teams down to Florida.
Yes.
So
yes.
if we can do that, we can raise some money for these girls.
Yeah, I had reached out to Coach Thomas, Micaiah Thomas, about sponsorship, because if that's the end thing, yes, she is due whatever her price is, because when I tell you, she's basically our girl's first coach. So they started with her, I think the oldest one was 6, and her sister was 5. And they started playing volleyball under her, and now, if it's a court, they are ready. But money should not be the deciding factor if they are locked out of anything. And to work and almost die paying all these prices is crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because I know even with the JJK Flames, they fly them down to tournaments in Florida and
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey. So if they can raise money for them, there has to be a way some money could be raised for the girls.
Right. And we were discussing about the whole college coaches, because that shift in coaching at the collegiate level is predominantly white, okay, and the professional level is predominantly white. But if you want to be honest, their first coaches are black.
Yeah.
From elementary, middle, and high, basically these community clubs and community organizations have black coaches. So technically our black coaches equip them and hand them over to whites to make the millions and billions.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to address all of these things that's going on, and then hopefully send them to HBCUs.
Yeah, hopefully. Because many times we we seem to like it when other folks want us to come, and we don't appreciate ours as much as we do others.
A lot of young people have basically, well, I guess after the whole uproar with Kamala Harris and her HBCU and those sisters and stuff, that kind of piqued interest for this generation. So a lot of them thinking Howard and Spelman the only two. There are some that saying they didn't even know HBCUs, what they were about and all that. So now they have access. They're learning these schools were built strictly for you and produce some of the top professionals.
They do. Morehouse and
Right.
Spelman and which ones did the girls go? That's Spelman.
That's Spelman. Mm-hmm.
They have some brilliant people to come out of there.
Yeah.
And also, they are like as though they don't think the HBCU sports is just as good, but you should see those teams play. Well, yes, a lot of times the teams don't play the HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, because I don't know if they're afraid to, but many of the top NCAA teams don't play them.
Right. But it's I think now it's much more of knowledge. Now these babies are educating themselves because they have access. But with the climate of America and this race issue, they are leaning towards their own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I read the other day a student got $3 million in scholarship and decided to go to HBCU. Like, nope.
That was a boy at Eastside at the graduation. He got $500,000 in scholarships. But I didn't hear what college he was going. I don't know what college he was going to. But he got $500,000 in scholarships.
I don't know if you read the article about like inner city athletes taking care of the whole bill of rich white athletes.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
I'll share it with you. But they was like, when inner city or the poor athletes come to college, they take care of all other.
Because of the people coming to watch the sports and the
But
money that they generate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I think they should get paid.
Me
Because
too.
those people are making all those millions of dollars off those athletes and they don't get anything. I remember a coach years ago, one of the athletes' mother had passed away, and his family couldn't afford to bring him home, and the coach was going to pay his way home, and they said they was going to put the program on probation if we paid for the boy to go home. So the coach says, "Well, you just put us on probation because I'm sending him home."
Right.
And he sent him home. It was a white coach, but he sent him home, but they didn't put him on probation. So, so they really use it. It's almost like slavery. Really.
It is. Basically, it is.
Because they're getting free labor and getting rich off of it, and yet if they can't even buy them a sandwich, or they'll get punished for it.
Yep. And I like the fact that the young people, especially after the whole Mizzou, Black Lives Matter issue in Mizzou, when that hit the fan, it was like, dude, I don't stop being black once I'm out of a uniform. You know what I'm saying? I have every right to have constitutional rights. This free labor you're getting from us, no more. And when those athletes put that list of demand on the table, they meant that. And then it just spread from there. Like NCAA, what they say, I have a shirt that says NCAA property, 1860 something. When I signed the girls up this year for volleyball club, my shirt says NCAA property, and I'm like, it
that's
just makes
basically
sense.
what they are.
Yeah. I was like, wow. So I mean, but we're waking up slowly but surely. We're getting there.
Yeah, and I see a lot of young people are waking up. But I hear young people talking about black issues now. You used to didn't hear that.
Right.
That and we have to also, even with the police, we have to not just let, like when the state police come in, they just come in and have their way. They don't know our community like East St. Louis police does. And I remember years ago I came here, and that's when they was having the gang problem. And the first place, the state police to come in to help. And I know I got on another subject, but this just came to my mind.
Oh, you good.
And the first place they went to raid the state police was the Club Cosmo. And you know, most gang members, black gang members, are teenagers, and when they start getting in their 20s, they start bowing out. They start getting out of gangs.
Right.
But and anyone, if they had consulted with the East St. Louis police, they would know that the Club Cosmo didn't have no young folks in there.
Right.
That was the wrong place to go. You know, but see, that's why they don't know about our people. So that's why they treat our people in a different way. As a matter of fact, the culture kind of frightens them. You know, the little culture we do have, it frightens them. You know, because this country is rivals of a lot of culture.
Right.
But it frightens them because that's why even when they hear, one of the reasons, like on television and radio, they were so used to always hearing the white side of things. Black people couldn't call in the KMOX and all that, express themselves years ago. But they hear all that now, and it's new to them because they were used to just hearing their side.
Correct.
And so now, and even when it comes to education or just society, you know, they're losing absolute power. They used to have absolute power. They're losing it, so that's why they're so upset now, just talking crazy, going out of their minds now.
I think this generation is not asking their permission. We've been so meek and mild, and well, we're gonna wait, we're gonna be respectful and all of the same kids that disrespect in the home, they disrespectful in what they want.
Yeah.
So they are really intentional about getting truth out there. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not right. You lied. You know what I'm saying? So part of it is good, others bad. You know, and the bad part is you choosing to cut out your history. You don't want to listen to your seniors. You know what I'm saying? Because our job is to direct them.
Yeah, and see, then a lot of times that's the way you present it, because I know a lot of times when I start talking with them, they're very interested.
Mm-hmm.
You start talking, I talk about the civil rights movement. I tell you that was Martin Luther King's way, but that's not my way.
Right.
But we don't always have to have the same method. We all want the same results.
Correct.
But we don't always have to have the same method because, as I was saying with another person, before Martin Luther King, every other leader wanted to separate.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin Luther King brought integration because he saw that it could be that he saw that every time we try to get our own, you ruin that.
Right.
Because but then you don't want us around yours, so we're gonna have to come with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the public library, we're paying taxes on it, but we can't use it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna start using it. And I think they went a bit too far because remember in the early part of the civil rights movement, they was asking for things like integration, like the libraries and public transportation like that. Then people just went further and further with it.
Right.
Yeah, and see, because they wouldn't let us have our own. I had a discussion with a fellow. I told him to say, look, you don't think you're superior. Cause you scared. What you're afraid of us? You scared you're gonna wake a sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you anyone who think they're superior, you don't walk around saying Jews will not replace us. That sounds like somebody who think they're inferior.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't say we can't integrate with them because look who's gonna be with your daughter and your daughter gonna marry them and all that. You can't let them have jobs because they're afraid you're gonna outdo them. That sounds like somebody who feel like they act like a person who know they're inferior, but they don't want you to know your superiority because they're afraid you're gonna outdo them. Don't let you set your economic center, burn it down because you may outdo us.
And I just wrote about that today on my blog about insulting my intelligence. And I said, if you want to know just how bad we are, look at how the policies are. We got policy, laws, codes, rules, everything to deny, omit, and reject us and keep us in an oppressive state. And every round we go higher. Okay, so nobody gonna keep asking America for permission to be, and exist. We're just not.
No.
Just gonna start doing it.
Yeah. Even with your children, if it's something they really want to do, if they'll keep asking you and asking you and asking you, if you deny them everything sooner or later they're gonna sneak and do it.
Yep, exactly. Well, right about now, this generation's not sneaking. They jumping on police cars. They just ain't being them. And this is the generation. You said they free.
But you know what? Even though jumping on the police car, it didn't have no meaning. But I'm gonna tell you the truth about it. I still don't speak against them. I'll tell you why. Tell you what, at least they begin to express that rage that's in them.
Yep.
They begin. That's our problem. We don't supposed to get angry.
Mm-hmm.
We don't supposed to express rage. It's about the angry black man, the angry black woman. We should be.
We overdue.
We don't supposed to express. Don't supposed to be angry.
Sure.
And all that didn't happen to us. But then but the people who have benefited everything, as soon as they feel that they've been wrong, even though they weren't, but they just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
They can go tear up everything.
And then you say,
and they're like that. Now they're like that and forgot about it.
Right, mental illness.
Well, you know what it is? That's the thing. That I had some discussion with people about this. I noticed that my alarm's going off. Well, that's they have a thing where I always say, just as white people was just as they were brought up in the white superiority ideology, so was black people. Mm-hmm. And we got some of it in us.
Right.
I notice when I see when I watch certain articles, the black people saying, "Oh, we got to do better." I said, "What do you mean we got to do better?
Right.
Did you kill somebody? I didn't kill anybody. What have being black got to do with them killing somebody? People kill people. It's just that when you're in a bad situation, you're gonna do it more.
Right.
When a black person does something, it's put on their blackness. You know, those even in Washington D.C., whenever white people commit a crime,
He's
how
a lone
the
wolf.
tone is so soft. What wonder what happened in his past.
Yeah.
But see, when the black person commit a crime, they know why he did it. They figure that he did because he's black.
Yeah.
That's the reason. So that's why he don't get that sympathetic treatment or those light sentences.
Right.
Like I told you guys who did all that stuff and get away with it. My daughter, when she was going up at SIU, she was in a dorm room with 2 white girls.
Mm-hmm.
She said the white girls used to laugh about how they one said she got 15 over 15 seatbelt warnings. The other one said, "Oh, I got way more than that,"
Mm-hmm.
and said sometimes it's by the same cop. My daughter forgot to put hers on one day, and she got a ticket the very first time.
Yeah.
So, why they want us to play by the rules,
Mm-hmm.
but the rules are not fair to us.
At all.
They don't work for us. When the rule don't work for you, you're gonna find a way to get around it.
Well, see, when it comes to that, when it comes to going back to the whole school to prison pipeline, when it goes back to innocent people just locked in cages for stuff, they didn't do, it's all going back to the free labor. Because if they plant these things on you and put these things on your record, eventually that will make sure you can't. Because look what I found. Look at your record. Look at your history. All this
and
stuff.
that's gonna be almost the average black man.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have something. Then a lot of times when they say he has a long arrest record, bunch of little traffic stuff, all those
exactly.
but they make it sound like as though he's such a big criminal.
Right.
Yeah, and they're now beginning to try it on our women.
Mm-hmm.
And most men in society are not gonna let you bother their women too much,
Right.
and we have to do that too. When them Asian people was beating those black women up in those in the stores,
Mm-hmm.
now if that was my store, and I beat that woman up, that whole family would have been on me.
Okay.
And why let a 90-pound Asian woman whoop a 200-pound black woman? She'll whoop 3 or 4 other black women.
Right.
Instead of telling me, "Stop, I didn't do it. I don't have it. You still in the store with the merchandise."
Right.
Yeah, but we have to protect our women. Talking about, well, she was going with that white man. She was going with that Arab. I don't care if she was going
Right.
with him. They don't give them a right to mistreat her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, because here, let a black man be going to a white woman. Let them give them some white folks and hit her.
The whole community coming.
They're not gonna care about she was married to him or going with him.
No.
They're coming after him, and that's what we need to do when it come on. If we handle our business on these individual basis,
Mm-hmm.
it won't have to become a community effort.
Right.
Even with the popo, sometimes we may have to. It's gonna come a time we may have to start dealing with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like what they did with George Floyd, that shouldn't have been. Michael Brown, leave him laying out there for hours, the whole community standing around.
Yeah.
A few cops out there, they shouldn't have walked away from there.
And the mama told the mama she couldn't touch him.
And you know what? Now they're learning about how the police lie on those reports.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Michael Brown had his hands, they say he did. Oh, he didn't have his hand up.
Yeah.
Those police put anything on those reports. They learned that the other guy that they beat to death said he died from a car accident.
Yeah. Right. And then.
Yeah. So now so like we were saying, I know we spoke on many issues because when it comes to education and just black society as a whole, you can't hardly talk about one without talking about the other.
They all interconnect.
They're interconnected because every time I start talking with people, we start talking about education, we start talking about the police, challenging the laws against the sports, everything because, like you said, they're all connected.
Yeah, they are.
So I want to let you get your closing thoughts in because we've been over, but I always do though.
Well, I mean, like I said, I am hopeful that our community would finally organize, strategize, and get behind our future if, in fact, education will stand. Now, if it's going to continue as business as usual, then I think personally there should be a blackout. As in, black out your child from this antiquated school system until it changes into the 21st century tech-driven society that we are residing in. And that's my take.
Okay. Well, Mashatta, I'm saying it right. Mashatta, I appreciate you coming on. And we had a very interesting conversation. Hopefully you'll come back one day.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sure
so
will.
thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want to get my closing like what I do with the reason I said no more water for fire next time.
Okay.
You notice, like when there's a wildfire, and they just can't put it out. They keep pouring water on it. They just can't put it out. So what they do is they build what they call a fire dam, make a carve in the earth, and the fire they go on the side where the fire is, they set those trees on fire, so they send the fire to meet the fire, and it extinguishes itself. They had to fight fire with fire because water just didn't work.
Okay.
That's why I say marching, legislation, carrying signs, praying, that's all water. We didn't put all that water on it already. So the water hasn't worked.
Right.
So that's why we say no more water, fire next time.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.